place clean. That's the mission.
Stand clear!
I've redone this video like twice. Or this is like my third time. What's going on? How are you guys doing? Today we're gonna talk about politics. Wow. Right, and why would I talk politics? Well, the narrative director at Infinity Ward had an interview with Game Informer. I don't know what the other dude does, but I know he works at Infinity Ward. I've seen him before. They had an interview, and the interviewer asked if Call of Duty Modern Warfare was a political game. Now, they both answered differently. However, they interpreted the question differently, but the answer remained pretty much the same. You know what I mean? Like, they gave the different answers, but it was the same answer, which is interesting because we're going to talk about that, right? So how does that tie into the politics? Well, the thing is, like, they both heard the same question, but they interpreted the question differently, right? Which is the same thing with politics. People hear some things about politics and they interpret it differently, right? They're not going the route that DICE went, which DICE went kind of like, this is the mindset you should have. They're not doing that. They're going more for like we would like if you were open-minded. We would like for you to consider that your way is not the only way, that your way has issues just like our way, right? Like, they're not pushing any political parties towards you, which DICE kind of felt like that's what they were doing, which people don't like, right? So they're basically saying, like, let me put it in an example so you understand it better. Just think about the US and ISIS, right? When you hear ISIS, you immediately think bad, right? When you hear US, you probably think good or not that bad, right? But they kind of want you to see ISIS's perspective as well. Like, they view the United States as invaders, and I bet you never thought of the United States as being invaders, but technically we are invading their country. The reason we're invading is for the oil, and we need it, right? So, like, I can understand why the US is invading, but I bet you never thought about us as invaders. So, you know, for ISIS, they're doing what they believe is right, which is fighting the United States, because they are trying to protect their home, but at the same time, they are killing civilians, which is bad, right? But that is something they are willing to do because they view, like, those civilians as not doing what's right. And we view the United States as doing what's right, right? They are allegedly protecting those people from ISIS, but in reality, they're just protecting their assets, which are oil, right? But we all like to believe that we are, you know, out there giving freedom, right? But we're not. If you were to look at the United States in a grayscale, it would be pretty dark, right? It would be like dark gray, but not completely dark. You know what I mean? Like, the United States does what's best for their people. Every country does that, right? Sometimes we do things that are not good for other people, but it's good for our people, so that's why we do it, right? So that's kind of what they want you to see, that it's not good and bad, it's more of a good and bad and good and bad. Like, both teams have good, both teams have bad. And that's how the real world is. There is good and bad in both situations. Unfortunately, the United States also kills civilians from time to time. In like, it's kind of difficult because we are getting too much into politics, but the point is that we do more good than bad in that situation, right? Like, we are protecting not only our assets, but at the same time we are helping the people there, and we're still invading the country though. Like, that's the bad part. And ISIS, in their minds, they're doing good by fighting the United States. And I don't know how they feel about the whole civilians, but I'm pretty sure they think they're doing the right thing by killing civilians, right? Like, they see them as traitors. So, like, in their minds, they're doing what's right. In our minds, we're doing what's right, but we're technically doing what's wrong if you actually think about it. That doesn't mean that what they're doing is right. It just means that what we're doing is wrong, but it's also right. You know what I mean? Like, there is this balance, and that's kind of what they want you to see. DICE kind of didn't do that. DICE kind of went the route of we are liberals and we want you to be liberal too. And if you don't want to be liberal, don't buy our game. Remember the whole situation of, if you don't like it, don't buy it? Well, a lot of people took that advice and they did not buy it. It's, to this day, the worst selling Battlefield ever. So I don't know. Right? They were selling us unauthentic, and that was not authentic. This year, Call of Duty is selling us on authentic, and it is authentic. There are women who are freedom fighters in real life. And one of the protagonists, from what I understand, is a freedom fighter. And nobody's making videos about this because nobody has a problem with it, because it is authentic. That was my issue with Battlefield 5. They called it authentic, but they had a female soldier with a prosthetic arm. Like, nobody with a prosthetic arm was fighting in the front lines. Whether you were male or female, that just did not happen. So, that's really the problem people had, And to make it worse, it was a woman. Like, I don't know. But this year, there are women in Modern Warfare. As you can see, nobody has an issue with it because it's real, right? There are women who are freedom fighters. There's documentaries about it if you want to watch them. They're quite interesting. I watched one, I think it was on Vice. The thing that's called Vice, the company. I don't know like what it does, but they have a lot of documentaries. It's pretty interesting. You should watch one of those. But getting back to the point, Infinity Ward is not selling you on politics, right? Like a political side. They're basically trying to educate you how you should view politics. Politics are not a team sport. It's not blue versus red. It's which side is doing what's best for me, for our country, right? I think I gave you an example already. If one side promises me that it'll make me rich and the other one promises me that I'm going to be healthy, I'm going to go with the one that promised me to be rich, because that's really what I would prefer, right? If I get sick, I can just go to the doctor, right? So like, that's how politics should work, but they don't work like that. If you were born into the blue tie, you're going to go with the blue tie. If you were born into the red tie, you're going to go into the red tie. That's how politics kind of work nowadays. So they're trying to say that you shouldn't think like that. You should think for your best, what your best interest is, right? You should think of yourself. You should think of your country. That's kind of what they're going for. And DICE was more of a, we're pushing for our political agenda, you know what I mean? So that was wrong for their part, but that's not what Infinity Ward is doing. And I'm glad that's not what they're doing. But thank you all so much for watching. If you need more clarification, leave it down in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you next time if you stick around.
Perhaps you cannot yet hear it. Because the soil is not your own. But you will.